First story. My boyfriend slapped me after my miscarriage, saying I humiliated him in front of his friends when I just told them what he did to me while drunk. Hello, my boyfriend, and I have not been talking for the past few days because of this incident. Basically, I got my period in the middle of the night, and I woke up to my legs being completely drenched in blood. I teared up a little bit because I hate being on my period, so I was really sad about that. I also ruined my boyfriend's sheets, so I was embarrassed too. I couldn't open my legs because I knew I would just bleed more, so I gently woke him up to carry me to the bathroom. He was kind of annoyed about being woken up, understandably, but I really needed to use the bathroom, and I couldn't walk because I was in pain. I was crying a little bit while he was carrying me, most likely due to the hormones, because I'm not usually that sensitive. And when he put me down, I realized that I wouldn't be able to take the extra few steps to sit down on the toilet. I also knew that as soon as I opened my legs, blood would just come out. So I then asked him to give me his hand to help me get into the bathtub instead. He was annoyed and said, "Can't you do it yourself?" I said, "No, my stomach hurts." He then helped me, and I was crying because I knew I was just annoying him. When I eventually came out of the bathroom, he said, "You just ruined all my effing sheets." I said I was sorry. He then sighed obnoxiously loudly to show his annoyance. I said I was sorry. Can you drop it? You act like you're the one cramping for a week. He then said, "Shut the F up. My sisters get their period too, and they're not best about it." I said, "What did you just say?" And he laughed and went to the kitchen. I followed him and grabbed his arm to make him look at me, and he kind of raised his voice and said, "Bro, leave me alone. You just ruined my effing day with your bullshit." I said, "Sorry, I have my period." And he was like, "You're acting like you're giving birth. Relax." He then followed with, "How do you want us to build a family if you cry at every effing inconvenience?" I was crying and said, "WTF does that even have to do with this?" And he said, "See, if you can't handle period cramps, how do you want me to build a family with you?" In the moment, I thought it was his way of breaking up with me, and I said, "Are you trying to break up with me right now?" And he said, "You know you can be so stupid sometimes." I said, "What's that supposed to mean?" And he said, "I'm not talking about this anymore. Go get some rest." I tried to talk about it, but he just gave me the silent treatment. Am I wrong in how I handled this? I guess I shouldn't have woken him up, but I had to go to the bathroom, and I couldn't walk. Is there something I can do to fix this? Comments. Succubus. I'm going to withhold judgment, but have you seen your option about this? Periods should not be akin to a disability where you need to be carried to the bathroom and helped into the bathtub. I'm not saying you're lying about being in severe enough pain that those things become necessary. But the fact that you're 1, bleeding so severely as to soil the entire bed as soon as your period arrives, and 2, in too much pain to move yourself around sounds like an underlying medical issue like endometriosis. Swoopy 17. I know not every case is the same, but my wife has endometriosis, and while she gets severe pain some months, she never has bleeding like the OP described, and the pain has never been so bad that she couldn't walk. The OP definitely needs to see a doctor ASAP. Update. 1 week later. Hello. I made a post about a week ago regarding a situation with my boyfriend. I talked to him yesterday morning, and I wanted to give an update because I saw some comments asking for one. We did not talk after our fight. I wanted to fix it and move on, but I was really hurt by the way he spoke to me and wanted him to apologize first. He didn't. I suspected he wouldn't because he always waits for me to apologize first, so I ended up texting him. My message didn't go through because he had blocked my number. I tried to text him on Instagram and discovered I was blocked there too. I then messaged him on Snapchat. He never uses it, so I think he just forgot to block me there. I told him I was sorry I was, but I wasn't, and that I just wanted to talk in person. He ended up coming over, and as soon as he came in, he acted like nothing happened, which just pissed me off. By the way, I saw a lot of comments saying things like, "How did you not know you were going to be on your period? You're old enough to know better," etc. I was 5 days late, so I didn't really know when it would come. I know I should have been more prepared, but I had no idea it would happen, or that he would react like that. Anyway, I told him I wanted to talk about what happened, because his words still hurt me. I apologized for waking him up, acknowledged his frustration was understandable, and explained I was too weak at the moment to go to the bathroom by myself. He responded, "You acted like you were disabled. If I hadn't been there, what would you have done?" I said I would have probably pissed my pants or gone alone and spread blood all over the room. I knew he would already be mad because I stained his bed, so I didn't want to make it worse by staining a towel too. I said I didn't like the way he was cussing at me and calling me names, and he replied, "Well, let someone else ruin your day with dumb SHT and see how you react." I told him I didn't think it was dumb SHT. I was in so much pain, and he didn't show any sympathy. He just looked at me like I said the dumbest thing in the world. I also told him that I had scheduled an appointment with an obgyn because what I experienced wasn't normal. He said, "Well, I just hope next time you won't piss me off." I asked, "Why are you so mean?" And he didn't answer. He just went on his phone. I got mad and took his phone. Wrong move. I know, because he always dismisses me in the most disrespectful way to make me feel dumb. I took his phone to make him pay attention to me, and he tried to take it back a few times. I said I wanted to finish the conversation, and he just got even angrier. He ended up grabbing my wrist and twisting it to make me drop it. I obviously started crying, and he was like, "What the F are you crying about? You did this to yourself." Through tears, I said I just wanted to talk to him. He mocked me, and at this point, I was so hurt that I just told him to leave. He left, and in the heat of the moment, I texted him, saying it was over. I started thinking about all the messed up things he did or said to me, and how he literally assaulted me. A couple of hours later, his sister, my very good friend, sent me a huge text asking if I was okay. She said her brother told her I went crazy, and that he was worried for me, but that I just broke up with him out of nowhere. I haven't responded yet because I'm too ashamed to reveal what happened. I don't know what to do. She said he just wants everything to go back to normal, and that he misses our trio, me, him, and his sister. I've been thinking about the whole situation since yesterday. And yes, I miss him more than I've ever missed anyone in my entire life. But I hate the way he speaks to me. I feel like if he changes that one thing, we could be perfect. I don't really know what to do. His sister says he's been heartbroken about this, and I believe her. She's never lied to me. I need opinions. What would you do? Thank you. Comments. Aper positively. When a man shows you who he is, believe him. His verbally berating you about your menstrual cycle is mental abuse. His twisting your arm is a physical assault. He is an abusive partner. Be strong in your conviction to break up with him and stay far, far away. Blue Ace 111. Yes, I agree. The blocking on all platforms sounds like some 8th grade drama you'd do after dating for 3 weeks. Not a 22-year-old. But wait, that them. Stay broken up. There's no reason for a relationship to be this hard. Update. 5 days later. Hi everyone. This is most likely the final update I will post about this situation. I had my appointment with a gynecologist, and it turns out I had a miscarriage. I initially thought it was just a really bad period since mine are usually heavy, but I was wrong. I've never been more heartbroken in my entire life. I can't believe I was pregnant, and now it's gone. I tried to read every comment, and they all essentially said the same thing. I tried really hard to believe that he is the abuser everyone says he is, but I simply couldn't. He had never grabbed me like that before, and yes, it hurt. But at the time, I didn't think it was enough to officially break up. Stupid, I know. I thought, well, it's not like he hit me. But I was still very hurt by what he did and said, so I didn't try to contact him. He called me the day after the incident to apologize. He said he regretted what he did and promised to do better. I thanked him, and he asked to hang out, but I declined. He was understanding and asked me to stay on the phone just to talk. I still missed him, so I said yes. I also told him about the miscarriage, and he apologized profusely for his reaction. He genuinely looked sorry. He said that if he had known, he would have reacted differently, and that his attitude was mainly because he was tired. We both cried, and it was a beautiful conversation overall. The next day, Sunday, he came over with a bunch of gifts and a handwritten letter. He apologized again for what he did and promised he would never treat me like that again. He said he underestimated his strength, didn't use his full force, and simply wanted his phone back. He said he was working on his anger and impulsiveness. We spent the next few days glued together, and they were amazing. He was so cute, he kept referring to me as his wife. Everything was okay until last night. It was my friend's birthday, and we had planned to go together. My boyfriend and I went to different schools, so he didn't really know anyone and stayed with his friends most of the time. Most of the people there were from my high school, and I hadn't seen them in a long time, so I was talking to everyone. I forgot to mention it, but his sister was there too, and we chatted. We were all drunk, and she jokingly asked what happened with her brother and why I went crazy on him. I responded, laughing, that he's the one who went crazy on me and attacked me. She asked what happened, and I explained that we were arguing. I took his phone, and he grabbed my arm and twisted it to make me drop it. She laughed and said he used to do that to her all the time when she was growing up. I didn't say it in a serious tone at all, like I was laughing as I was saying it. Everything was fine that night, and we went to his place together as usual. But the next morning, so today, he asked me if I told his sister anything. I knew I messed up, so I acted like I didn't remember the conversation and said no. He knew I was lying, which just angered him. He accused me of spreading lies about him to everyone for attention, and said that he doesn't even know my friends. And that's the first impression they have of him now. I felt really bad and tried to explain that I wasn't thinking because I was drunk. And it's not like I said he punched me in the face. I tried to say that they didn't even hear me, and that I was just talking to my friend. I also said that I was laughing as I was telling the story. He kept cutting me off and getting angrier. He was like, "Your voice is so effing loud. You really think no one heard you? Are you that effing stupid? Now everyone thinks I beat girls. Are you happy? Did you get the attention you wanted?" I just kept apologizing because I understood where he was coming from. I tried to hug him a couple of times, and he would just push me away. He kept calling me an attention seeker and a crybaby. I was sobbing because we were doing so well, and I just had to ruin everything. When I tried to hug him for the last time, he slapped me in the face. I had never been hit in the face in my entire life, let alone by a man. We were both shocked for a moment, and then he started crying and apologizing. I had never seen him cry like that. I said I was okay, and that I just wanted to leave. He tried to offer me a ride, but I said no and went home by myself. I ended up going home, reading some comments, turning off my phone, and just crying the whole day. I don't know why it took me all of this to realize he doesn't love me. If I'm being completely honest, I still cannot see him as this evil abuser. I know he is one objectively, but I simply can't see him as one. I don't know why. I did block him, and I'm trying to keep my distance because I'm scared of what he could do next. I'm pretty sure he knows it's over now. I'm not sure, but I think he knows. I don't want to tell his sister what happened. They're literally twins, so I just feel like she would take his side. We're really close, so I'm not 100% sure she would. But then I didn't know my ex would slap me, so I don't want to test my luck. He also has another sister, but I don't really know her or talk to her, and I just want to be alone for now. And no, I'm not going to the police. I don't understand how someone can look up wedding rings with you one day and then literally hit you in the face the next day. I was literally pregnant with his child, and that's how he treats me. And he had the nerve to hit me, knowing I lost our baby. I will never understand. I know everyone is going to call me stupid for going back to him one more time, and I get it. I know I am. It just stinks that I have to deal with the pain of losing a baby and now losing my boyfriend. Thank you, everyone, for the messages and comments. You all helped me a lot. I'm probably missing a lot of details. Let me know if you have any questions. Comments. Snewards 48839. So, he came back with love bombing and hasn't changed. The sister confirmed he abused her. I am glad you have blocked him. Hugs, heal, and move on. Hygiene 21. Do not contact anyone in his family. But if anyone reaches out to you, do not lie. If anyone accuses you of lying, block them. If he harasses you, threaten the police. Find a therapist. Notorious groan. Let me start by saying that I am so sorry for your loss. The next day, Sunday, he came over with a bunch of gifts and a handwritten letter. He apologized again for what he did and promised he would never treat me like that again. He said he underestimated his strength, didn't use his full force, and simply wanted his phone back. He said he was working on his anger and impulsiveness. This is called love bombing, and it is a classic abuser's move. Please do not fall for it again. He most likely will try again. Now everyone thinks I beat girls. Proceeds to slap his girlfriend. You want to know how you keep people from thinking you hit girls? By not hitting girls. It's okay to miss him, and you will for a while. But you will get over him. Use this experience so that you can see red flags earlier in the relationship. Second story. My daughter's bullies fat-shamed her, not realizing I was right there, so I shut them down. Then their entitled parents chimed in, throwing more insults at my daughter, so I made them regret everything and run away far from my daughter. Obligatory on mobile. Sorry for formatting issues. And English is my first language. Okay, so for some background, I'm the father of a 9-year-old girl who's my whole world. Her mother and I split up 3 months after her birth when I found out she had been cheating. Naturally, I got a DNA test, and thankfully, she was mine. The problem is that her mother doesn't care about her health. She feeds her whatever she wants, and even gives her coffee and donuts for breakfast sometimes. It's a mess. I've called the CPA and the police in the past for wellness checks, but it's gotten me nowhere. So since she was about 4, she's had a weight issue. Now on to today's story, which happened about an hour ago. Cast. Ec 1. Entitled Kid 1 about 13-14. Ec 2. Entitled Kid 2 same age. They honestly looked like twins, but definitely brothers. M. Entitled Mother. Ed. Entitled Father. MD. My little girl. Mimi. So my daughter is aware she's overweight. She's teased constantly at school, so I've made it a habit to visit her at least 3 times a week each week for lunch, as she always asks me to come so she can eat lunch in peace from the bullies. This weekend was her weekend with me, and she's taken a liking to basketball, which I think is great, and she asked me this morning to go to the park down the road in our community to shoot some baskets with her. Of course, I say yes, and we go. When we get there, I park and immediately notice 2 kids, Ec 1 and 2, sitting at one of those park tables cussing and throwing a basketball back and forth at each other. I pay them no mind, and we walk up to the court that isn't being used. I also notice 2 adults who end up being entitled parents in their mid-30s, sitting on a park bench about 30 feet away, smoking and messing around on their phones. We start shooting air, and she's having fun when I hear it. Ec 1. Get the hell off the court, fat arse. We were about to use it, and you're too fat to play anyway. Look, you can't even make a shot. My daughter is 9 and still learning, mind you. Ec 2. Yeah, maybe go home and use a treadmill. They both start laughing. Now they said this with me right in front of them, and I'm pissed. I'm a big guy, about 6'1" and 190 pounds, and unlike others, I don't like confrontation, but I'm not scared to engage if necessary. Me? Okay, first off, both of you kids, watch your damn mouths and do not insult my daughter again. You really think that's okay? Insulting someone on something so sensitive and thinking it's a laughing matter. Your parents are doing something wrong. That's when the parents, who were still at the bench, heard me and joined in on the fun for them at least. M. Who the hell do you think you are? Why are you yelling at my sweet boys? Ed. Yeah, you better watch what you say, dude. Me. Your precious boys are standing here insulting my daughter and calling her fat. You two really think that's okay? To insult a child younger than them over something she's already bullied about at school. We're here trying to get some exercise in, play some basketball, and just have fun. I don't need to deal with you and your little punk arse boys insulting her. Entitled mom looks at me without blinking, like what I just said was the specials at a restaurant. M. So what's wrong with what they said? Look at her. She's fat, isn't she? They're being honest. She shouldn't be here. What? The F. Ed. Yeah, they're doing her a favor. She's just embarrassing herself. I mean, look at her. Then they all started laughing. Literally, 2 teens and 2 adults are laughing at my little girl, while she's standing behind me and trying so hard not to cry. I lost my SHT. Me. Alright, listen, you 2 pointing at the parents are effing trash. So they're being honest, and that's okay. Alright, fine. Here's some honesty. Your sons are punk arse bullies, and I promise you that eventually another kid will stand up for themselves and knock their teeth out. I, as a normal adult, effing despise bullying. You both are SHT parents, thinking what your kids are doing is acceptable. Ed, watch what you say to my wife and sons. Your daughter is fat. Deal with it. MD, yeah, and you are a mean man, and you shouldn't say these things to people. She's crying, and I'm pissed and even more upset at this. Me, watch what I say. Or what, bud? What are you going to do? You and your perfect little family seem to think honesty is all right, no matter what form, so I'm telling you, you're all just bullies. And unlike my daughter, I'm an adult, and I won't put up with any more of your bullshit. Especially if any of you say another word to my daughter. I swear you'll regret it. I was maybe 3 inches from the father's face when I said this. Looking back, maybe I shouldn't have said, you'll regret it, but I was pissed and in protection mode. Ed just stares at me without moving for about 10 seconds with me not moving. Me, we're not leaving. My daughter just wanted a fun day at the park, and I won't tolerate another negative word said against her. Test me if you want. Ed and M look at each other before finally M scoffs. Ec 1 and 2, let's go. We're going home. They begin waking up down the street and heading towards their house. I'm watching them most of the time because I had a feeling they'd say something else. And I was right, sadly. When they're about 100 or so feet down the street, the dad yells, "Have fun with your fat daughter, punk." And they hurry their walk. I start running after them. I was done and not putting up with this anymore when I hear my daughter in a calm voice. "MD, Daddy, Just let them leave. Now we can play alone. She's smiling now, and I can tell she's right. She just wants to have this all over with. Me. All right, sweetie, wanna play horse? MD. Yeah, you go first. And thanks for sticking up for me. Daddy. I'm so sick of bullies. Me. Always, hun, and I know. Don't worry, let's just have some fun. I'll always be there to help you when I'm able. I give her a hug. We had a good time for the next hour shooting hoops, and then we went home. Thanks for reading, guys, and don't put up with bullying. Edit. Thank you guys who gave the awards and everyone else for their kind words and support. If you're someone who's dealing with bullying, you're not alone, and don't forget that. Be the bigger person, and know that if they're bullying you, you're in control. They're trying to elicit a reaction from you, and it's up to you to give them satisfaction. I'd help you all if I could. Genuinely. Also to all of you saying fake, there are always some on all posts. I wish it was, but it wasn't. Third story. OP's girlfriend went on a trip alone. 2 months in, she started ignoring his calls and stopped including him in her life. So he confronted her in the hope of repairing their relationship. But she broke up with him, ruining their 6-year relationship where they even named their future kids. In a nutshell, the title. For reference, I will call myself Michael and her Lisa. But for more information, we have had a truly wonderful relationship. We met 2 years before dating, and at the time I was dating someone else. Lisa was one of my flatmates at university. I'm in the UK, and we bonded very quickly, so we were friends for a while. My girlfriend at the time broke up with me, and I had a brief fling with Lisa, no sex, but kissing, etc. We were very close as friends, and this felt very natural. However, I moved out a week later and moved to the other side of the country. At the time, I was in a very bad place for a variety of reasons, and we slowed down talking as much. Then a year later, she randomly reached out again, and we started talking. And we just reconnected completely. I was just graduating from university, and she was just about to enter her final year after taking a gap year for work experience. She came to visit me at the university, and at this time I fully expected it to be just a friendly visit, but it quickly became more. Soon after, she was back home, and we were chatting every day for literally up to 12 hours on FaceTime. We did it so often, I fell completely in love with her. And soon after, we became official. We've lived together for the last 4 years, having moved in together about 6 months before COVID. We had an amazing time. We adored lockdown so much time to just develop our relationship and love each other. We have had such a wonderful relationship, always being able to communicate with each other about our feelings, understand each other, and always insisting on not allowing ourselves to become too codependent. We lived our own separate lives, and we liked that. When we were together in our flat, we lived in our own wonderful bubble full of in-jokes and words we ascribed our own meanings to. We always likened the strength of our relationship to the fact that we were friends first. No jealousy ever, rarely ever arguments. And when there were arguments, we always managed to handle them well. We've talked extensively about our future. We've said we want to be married to each other. I have jokingly proposed to her dozens of times, always mortifying her, and we've even picked out names for our future kids. We're not ready for all of that yet, as we are building our careers, but it always felt like this was it. So she's had a job for the past 4 years that she ended up hating. She quit earlier this year and has been saving up to go traveling. She went to the Philippines, and she is now in Australia. She's been there for 2 months now. When she first went, I told her that she needed to fully embrace it and not worry about me. The arrangement was really simple. Our tenancy in our flat ended at the same time she planned to travel, so I've moved in with my friend, and she's away for 3 months. Our goal, which we discussed a lot, was that when she returned, she'd find a new job, we'd find a new place, and we'd resume building our lives together. Slowly, we started talking less and less, and while at first I was happy, there were little things that were ringing alarm bells. Such little things, but when you know someone so well, and when you know your relationship so well, these small things stand out. She'd not reply for days at a time, but still post on her Instagram story. She'd post things like feeding a wallaby, but not share them with me. I love animals, and she loves how childlike I get around them. And she always said she feels sad seeing animals without me because she can't see my reactions to them. But now she's not sharing them with me. I brought this up 1 month into her travels, firstly framed in an "I miss you" kind of way, and it landed well. And she said she'd try to talk to me a bit more. But she just withdrew even more. I brought it up again 2 weeks later, this time with a bit more of a, maybe we can try to talk a bit more. I also mentioned at this stage that I regret telling her before she traveled that I would be fine with not talking much, and that, while I truly meant it at the time, in action, it was hurting me more than I expected. She understood and promised we'd talk more. But we talked less. A few days ago, I brought it up again, and this time, it was different. Each time, she's always insisted that she is in a bubble, and that she needs to just focus 100% on the travel. I asked her if she could just give me 5 minutes every few days just to say hello, but she said she wasn't sure she could even do that. This really upset me because we are 6 in, and we have always had such a strong relationship that I was surprised at how unwilling she was. I said we needed to talk about this properly over the phone, and she suggested the following night. Her time in Oz would make it around 8:10 a.m., my time. I was ready at that time, but she postponed it an hour as she was going for a sunset walk, and then going out for dinner with her traveling friends. Then, it was postponed further, but I could no longer make the call as I had a client meeting. I told her how upset I was that she prioritized a sunset walk over our relationship, that she had already had 2 months of them, and that I was only asking for one evening, so we could talk about the future of our relationship. She agreed we needed to talk about the future of our relationship, but said she couldn't do that until she returned home in 5 weeks. I said I couldn't wait that long and quickly called her my client was late, luckily. Essentially, she said she's so confused right now because she's in a bubble of traveling, but she's just not sure if this is what she wants anymore. She floated the idea of wanting to move to Australia. She clearly doesn't see me in her future anymore. I am just so blindsided because we were so close, strong, and happy before. And now that she's traveled, it's just totally changed everything. I asked her if she still loved me, and she wasn't sure she could answer that. She was very much down the middle about everything, clearly confused about the situation, but not wanting to cause too much interference to her bubble right now. My impression was that she wanted to just ignore what was happening until she came back. So where do I go now? I am so lost, so confused, and so hurt. I want to be with her and spend my life with her, but she just might not want that now. TLDR, girlfriend of 6 years is currently traveling and has decided she's not sure she wants to stay together. This is very blindsided, and I'm confused. Relevant comments. Watts name 123. I mean, you guys managed to put a wonderful gloss on how great extended solo travel was going to be for both of you. But that, I'm afraid, was never realistic. If one person feels the need to disappear for a long period of time after 6 years, then the relationship just wasn't that strong in her mind. I couldn't imagine leaving my so behind. That she could makes me think things weren't as rosy in her mind as they were in yours. There is a high chance that she wanted some space from an intense relationship to think about if she was building the life she really wanted. And it seems like her answer is edging towards no. Unfortunately, it looks like heartbreak. Even if she comes back now, I am not sure that her behavior is consistent with just getting back to normal. OP. This is certainly a possibility. She has always been passionate about traveling, and she did so before we met too. She lost 2 close grandparents 2 years ago, and has been extraordinarily stressed about the SHTTY job she had. If things weren't as rosy, I trust she will tell me when she's home and out of her bubble. I think that there's certainly credence to this for several reasons too. The life she was living with me may be marred by her job, by the general depressing dullness of England, etc. And living such a different life while traveling in beautiful places will only reinforce that and make her associate it all with me. Update. 2 weeks later. Update. So, it was a grueling 2 weeks in which I took everyone's advice as well as my own judgment and didn't contact her at all. It was insanely difficult because I didn't really know anything about her perspective at all. I felt like I was in limbo. I didn't know where I stood, and I didn't know where she stood. Every day was day 1 of grieving, and the longer time went by, the more difficult it became. She had acted so coldly with me with regards to talking to me about what was happening. And as I said in my original post, she had prioritized her travels over my well-being and/or the well-being of the relationship. It was really hurting me because she knows me well, and I felt very confused and, frankly, traumatized that she was refusing to give me any answers. It really was driving me insane. I wasn't eating or sleeping. I wasn't working self-employed and couldn't concentrate on anything. I cried a lot. After a certain point, I decided that I couldn't continue this any longer, and although I tried to respect her need for space, I needed to respect my own need for answers. So I reached out to her again. 2 days ago, we had a long, 2-hour video chat. She's currently in Vietnam. She sat in the hall of a hostel, and we talked openly, warmly, honestly, and in depth about both of our feelings. There were a lot of tears. It was a very emotionally draining conversation, but it gave me a lot of answers and resolved a lot of the turbulence that I had experienced. I had written her a letter on the morning of the scheduled call, and I read it out to her. I explained how she made me feel and how unempathetic she was. She took this on board on a profound level and deeply apologized, and I could tell she was truly hurting herself that she had behaved like that. She acknowledged that she had buried her head in the sand because of her feelings. It was truly powerful to hear her be so candid. This was the girl I had fallen in love with. She was usually so empathetic, smart, and sensitive, so her behavior in the past few weeks, being the opposite of that, created such strange feelings in me. I was glad that we were talking back on the level we were usually so good at. But, long story short, it is over. You see, I was her first boyfriend. Sure, she has slept with her fair share of lads, but I'm her first relationship. We met when I was 22, and she was 18. I was really the only man in her life for a long time. She's now traveling, and she just feels a deep sense within herself that she needs to explore herself and her life without a partner. She needs to be alone to do this. I completely understand this. It's not what I wanted to hear, but it's something I obviously understand and won't at all stand in the way of. She's planning to move to Australia for a while and continue her soul search. Right now, she just doesn't see a place for me in what she needs from her life. It's heartbreaking. I'm heartbroken. I love her deeply. She still loves me. But sometimes that just isn't enough. And that's all there really is to it. A lot of you suggested, sometimes with quite a cruel snarkiness, that she was cheating. She wasn't. I'm sure some of you will still believe that, but that's fine. Maybe you just haven't been in a real adult relationship where there is honesty and transparency. This is not about another man. This is just about her recalibrating what she wants from her future. Now I need to figure out how to recalibrate my future. We had talked extensively about marriage. I was ready to spend my life with her. We had already named our future kids. Everything about the future that we had envisioned is now gone. It is really difficult right now to imagine being with anyone else because the depth of our relationship is so strong. Every night, I am awoken by the isms of our relationship, the small quirks, the in-jokes, the made-up language we used, the tone of voice we would speak to each other in, the food we'd eat together, the things we'd do together, the songs we'd sing together, our touch, the warmth of her body against mine, the smell of her perfume, the way she'd say my name in a cute way when I'd done something cheeky. So many things are littering my mind right now. I'm struggling to see through it right now. I have no idea how I will make it through. If anyone can share any advice that can help me, please do so. I know the obvious stuff. Go to the gym, focus on yourself, rebuild your life, etc. But they are all intangible to me. How do I repair my soul? How do I move on from someone I am still actively in love with? She returns to the UK at the start of July, and I will be spending a few days with her. A goodbye, if you will. It will be hard, and every fiber of my being wants to beg her to find a way to include me in her future, or to find ways to entertain the notion that, in the future, we will find our way back to each other in some grandiose fatalistic stroke. I had truly defined her as my soulmate and my best friend, and she had done the same for me. Right now, while she's still traveling, she's not able to sit in on any of these feelings. But I know they'll come for her too once she returns to her parents and lives there for 6 months as she saves for her future travels. I don't know what the future looks like now. If anyone has any advice, please let me know. TLDR, it's over, but in a somewhat beautiful and amicable way. I'm heartbroken and sad. How do I heal? Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.